how is this hem staying in place? Welcome back to Fabric School. Let's talk about seams. We're still talking about hems. Today we're going to be talking about a rolled hem and a blind hem. Rolled hems are essentially the same as a double folded hem, but as small as you can possibly get it. They are usually used on finer fabrics. If you have a very curved hem, they might be better to use. And on your household sewing machine, you might actually have a foot to make a rolled hem. It takes a bit of practice though. A blind hem is different. The goal of a blind hem is that it is not visible on the outside. And the way you do this is you have your raw edge on the bottom, you go ahead, finish that so it doesn't fray, you fold it in, and now you have to stitch it on. Now when sewing this hem, you sew through your seam allowance normally, so you go through the entire fabric, but then when you go to the outer fabric, instead of really going through and back, you just pick up a tiny bit of the fabric. If it's a very thick felted wool, for example, you might not even go through the entire fabric, but just through a small layer of it. But if it's a thin woven, you'll have to go through the entire layer, but you just pick up 2 individual threads, for example. And then you go through that and then again through the entire seam allowance. You do this all the way around, and that way you have a hem which is on the outside essentially invisible. This is often done with clear thread, so if you can see the thread on the outside, you can't actually perceive it because it's clear. On the inside, it often has a bunch of loops to it, and the reason that happens is so that your seam allowance can have a little bit of movement. If you're really just holding on to, let's say, 2 individual little threads and there's a lot of tension there and it's very tight, you might see that spot, just like the pulling of it on the outside. You don't want that either. And because of that, you have all of those loops on the inside of the fabric to make sure that your hem can move and groove freely and there's no spots that are really pulled on very strongly.